Hello everyone, welcome to back my channel. I hope everyone is having a wonderful day. Before starting the video, please go ahead and hit the subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up. General Hospital sees Kristina Corinthos. Kate Mansi is in a mess of her own making, and I expect that soon she could face attempted murder charges. We're going to talk about consequences for her nearly killing Rick Lansing, Rick Hurst, and seriously injuring Elizabeth Weber, Rebecca Herbst. So, once what Kristina did is exposed, as we know it will be, is she going to wind up in Pentonville Prison, or in a psych ward like at Ferncliff or Shadybrook? Let's talk about it. Kristina's downward spiral is absolutely out of control. She has always been a person who acted without thinking. And things have gotten worse ever since she insisted she should be the surrogate for her sister Molly Lansing Davis, Kristen Vaganos. I think we all knew from the get-go it was going to be a disaster. And then of course, it was because Kristina decided she would be the better mom instead of Molly. She convinced herself of it. And so she planned to keep that baby. It's kind of the same sort of self-gaslighting that Kristina engaged in when she said Ava Jerome, Maura West, pushed her. And it was an accident. We have seen on General Hospital Kristina's own memories. She knows very clearly she was not pushed. She tripped and fell on accident. But she keeps saying it because she gets herself worked up. And I think she thinks, like a lot of people we know, that just random people that convince themselves a lie is the truth if they repeat it enough, they self-gaslight. So she keeps harping on making Ava pay for killing her baby. Even Kristina's mom, Alexis Davis, Nancy Lee Gran, thinks her daughter is wildly off the mark with that vendetta and that accusation. So that's why Kristina cut the brake lines on Ava's car. So she thought, but of course she got Rick's car instead. Mind you, when Kristina saw the crash and realized she harmed Rick, what she kept saying, like it was some defense, was it was supposed to be Ava. Then of course, Lucky Spencer, Jonathan Jackson, shows up, and Kristina confessed to him that she meant for it to be Ava. She told him she cut the brake line, not realizing it was Rick's car. And without all the information in hand, Lucky advised Kristina to run back to Charlie's and pretend like she had been there the whole time. He was telling her to go set up a fake alibi, but that was before Lucky knew that Liz was in the car and injured. So once the paramedics pulled her out of the wreckage, Lucky lost it. Thankfully, Liz only has a broken leg, and she's going to be okay. Rick, he's a different story. Dr. Isaiah Gannon, Sawandi Wilson, is trying to get him stable enough for emergency surgery. Clearly, Rick is way far worse off than Liz, so I just don't see how Kristina is going to walk away from this mess without facing some kind of legal consequences. Lucky told Kristina to set up her alibi, but the bartender knew she wasn't there because he already told Molly that. And on top of that, I don't see Lucky covering for Kristina after what he found out. Liz could have died. And hopefully, Lucky realizes that enabling Kristina is a dangerous thing because she might kill somebody the next time she spirals out of control. Whether it's Ava, whether it's somebody else. So I feel like it's pretty likely. I don't see how she can avoid it. She's going to be arrested. There are cameras everywhere these days, you know, likely cameras in the parking garage where Kristina tampered with Rick's car. And in case that weren't enough, all they have to do is look around. Kristina's fingerprints are probably on the little wire cutters she used to cut the brake lines, probably on Rick's car up underneath where she would have to go to cut a brake line. They could probably check her YouTube search, how to cut a brake line. I just don't think it's something she'd know off the top of her head. Given how much Sonny Corinthos, Maurice Bernard, hates Rick, he could be the initial suspect. And we know that he and Jason Morgan, Steve Burton, were in Canada terrorizing that hitman at the time. But the PCPD can also say that Sonny had a minion do his dirty work, knowing he was out of town and would have a travel alibi. So I feel like Ava and Rick, assuming he survives, are both going to want the perpetrator to face consequences. Once it comes out that it was Kristina, of course, Ava will know that she was the intended target, and Rick only got hit because he was in her parking spot. Lucky might even tell the cops that Kristina admitted Ava was the target. If Kristina had harmed somebody random, I could see Lucky maybe staying quiet. But he loves Liz, and Kristina's rash actions almost took her life. And if Lucky tells Liz what she knows, Then I think Liz may press him to come clean to the police because she has heard Kristina saying that if she can't be around her baby that died, then Ava doesn't deserve blah blah blah. So Liz knows about her unhinged vendetta because she was trying to get Liz to say things that weren't true and that were hyped up about Ava talking to Avery. So Liz knows all about Kristina's wackadoo attitude. Ava already is fuming at Alexis and Sunny for not helping her with her money thing. And then Sunny trying to use her problems to steal custody of Avery back. And that came after Kristina goaded him into it. So what's really wild? Ava comes asking about Rick's condition at GH, and then Alexis chewed her out and told her to go away. Ava is not going to forget any of this when it comes out that Kristina tried to kill her. I could see Alexis trying to guilt Ava into not pressing charges, saying, you know, it's a tit-for-tat thing. Kristina is upset because the baby died. And you know, you're okay. So it all worked out, you know. But that's not how the justice system works, and Alexis knows it. Ava faced a jury and was found not guilty. Kristina should probably be forced to face a jury as well. She needs some accountability in her life. Hopefully, Rick will survive, or it would go from Kristina facing attempted murder charges to actual murder charges. I do expect Rick is going to live, and he's going to want Kristina prosecuted for almost killing him and Liz also. He doesn't like Kristina because she's Sunny's daughter, and Rick feels like Kristina gets all of Alexis' attention, and Molly gets scraps, so lots of reasons for Rick to push for her to be prosecuted and not to hear anything else about it. I also expect Molly to turn on Kristina over this murder plot. She's been annoyed for a long time because Molly sees that Kristina gets away with everything, and everybody enables her and cleans up her messes, typically their mom Alexis, and of course, the timing's bad because Molly and Kristina just made peace. Now this stunt may shatter any chance of them being sisters again. Molly's scared right now. Her dad is fighting for his life. And when she finds out all this happened because Kristina was trying to kill Ava, she's going to flip. Molly may even push the DA's office to prosecute Kristina to the full extent of the law because she's had enough. That could see Kristina sent to Pentonville prison on a multi-year sentence. However, I would expect Diane Miller, Carolyn Hennessy, or Alexis to represent Kristina and argue temporary insanity. They may be able to argue this is all the result of grief over losing the baby, try to still blame Ava, and then say that drove Kristina over the edge. I doubt that Alexis or Diane could get Kristina off without facing some sort of consequences though. And let's face it, she needs some help and counseling. Alexis and Sunny are not treating her as someone who is caught in a grief spiral and needs some mental health counseling, which she clearly does need. Rick and Elizabeth almost died because Kristina has no impulse control. No doubt Ferncliff Psychiatric Facility or Shady Brook is where Sunny and Alexis' daughter belongs. There's something deeply troubled inside her. I don't think she deserves to be in Pentonville, but I definitely think she needs a timeout. Kristina needs help and some tools to deal with her grief and trauma the right way, but she still also needs to be held accountable for the consequences of her actions because that lack of accountability she's had most of her life has led to this unhinged behavior where she thinks everybody's going to clean up her mess. I doubt Alexis or Sunny will be able to get Ava and Rick out of pressing charges, but we'll see. Kristina did the crime. Will she do the time? Port Charles is no stranger to shocking scandals, broken hearts, and jaw-dropping twists, but nothing could have prepared the residents for the fall of one of their own. Kristina Corinthos Davis. Known for her fiery temper and passionate ideals, Kristina has long struggled to find her place in a town where family loyalty is both a weapon and a shield. But as a murder charge looms over her, the question is no longer whether she's guilty or innocent, but whether she'll end up behind bars or behind padded walls. A shocking crime rocks Port Charles. It all started with the mysterious death of a local political activist, Caleb Michaels, a man known for stirring the pot on social issues and, more recently, for being the face of opposition to the Corinthos influence in town. Caleb's body was discovered in an abandoned warehouse just outside of Port Charles, beaten and bloody, with clear signs of a violent struggle. But the most damning piece of evidence? A necklace bearing the initials KCD, Kristina's full initials, found clutched in Caleb's lifeless hand. Detective Chase and the PCPD didn't waste time. With tensions already high between law enforcement and the Corinthos family due to Sonny's recent antics and Jason's return to town, the idea of arresting Kristina felt like justice to many, a sign that no one was above the law. Within hours, Kristina was hauled in for questioning, still in shock from hearing about Caleb's death. Motive, means, and meltdown. Kristina's connection to Caleb went deeper than most knew. At one point, they'd worked together on social justice campaigns, and for a brief time, had even shared a romantic entanglement. But things went south quickly. Caleb had grown increasingly unstable, erratic in his behavior, vicious in his rhetoric, and prone to aggression. Kristina had distanced herself, but not before they had a very public argument at Charlie's pub, witnessed by several patrons. What no one realized was that Caleb had been stalking Kristina in the days leading up to his death. She never filed a police report, likely fearing she wouldn't be believed, or perhaps not wanting to draw more attention to herself. But text messages recovered from her phone showed her pleading with Caleb to leave her alone. The messages grew angrier, more desperate, until finally, they stopped. The prosecution believes Kristina snapped. A woman pushed too far, living under the heavy shadow of her father's criminal empire, finally lost control and took matters into her own hands. But her defense, spearheaded by Diane Miller, isn't so sure Kristina is capable of premeditated murder. In fact, Diane has a different theory, that Kristina may have had a psychotic break. History repeating? Kristina's mental health has always been a quiet undercurrent in her storyline, from her early days acting out at school, to her dangerous relationship with abusive boyfriend Kiefer, and later, her involvement with the cult-like Dawn of Day. Kristina has repeatedly been drawn to chaos and instability. Though fiercely intelligent and idealistic, she has struggled with self-worth, often letting others manipulate her emotions. Family members have begun to question whether Kristina's emotional state was more fragile than they realized. Sam, ever the skeptical sister, thinks there's more going on beneath the surface. Alexis is beside herself, torn between guilt over her past neglect and determination to save her daughter. Even Molly, who has had her fair share of arguments with Kristina, is having trouble believing her sister could commit such a brutal act. But the signs are there. Kristina has been increasingly volatile. Her recent attempts to open a new community center were met with bureaucratic red tape and public backlash. Her business partner backed out at the last minute. And in the weeks leading up to the murder, those closest to her noted erratic mood swings, insomnia, and a growing sense of paranoia. The trial begins. As the trial kicks off, Port Charles is gripped by courtroom drama. The prosecution paints Kristina as a ticking time bomb, a woman desperate to be taken seriously, finally pushed too far by a man who humiliated and threatened her. They present forensic evidence, character witnesses who saw their fights, and even video footage showing Kristina driving to the warehouse district the night of Caleb's murder. But Diane fires back with a vengeance. She highlights Caleb's criminal record, including assault charges from another town. She points to the lack of physical evidence directly placing Kristina at the scene. No fingerprints on the weapon, no blood on her clothes. But more importantly, she introduces psychiatric evaluations suggesting Kristina may be suffering from dissociative episodes brought on by years of emotional trauma. Enter Dr. Kevin Collins, who takes the stand to suggest that Kristina may have blacked out, acted in self-defense, or even repressed the memory of the event entirely. He recommends psychiatric observation, not prison. Sonny's influence and the mob factor. Sonny Corinthos isn't known for sitting quietly when his family is in danger. His involvement complicates things further. Though he publicly denies interfering, sources suggest Sonny has made offers to witnesses and even threatened a few who dared to testify against his daughter. This only adds fuel to the fire for the prosecution, who argue that the Corinthos family is trying to manipulate the system. Sonny's reputation becomes a double-edged sword, drawing sympathy from those who believe he's a grieving father trying to protect his child, while also reinforcing the idea that Kristina's sense of right and wrong may have been skewed by a lifetime of moral gray zones. Alexis' breaking point. Perhaps the most heart-wrenching aspect of this saga is Alexis Davis. Watching her daughter teeter between prison and psychiatric commitment forces Alexis to confront her own demons, including her struggles with addiction, her toxic relationships, and the decisions that may have left Kristina vulnerable to exploitation and harm. In a powerful courtroom moment, Alexis testifies on Kristina's behalf, not as a lawyer, but as a mother, pleading for understanding, not excuses. Her testimony could very well be the turning point of the trial. Verdict: prison, or a padded cell? As the jury deliberates, tensions in Port Charles reach a fever pitch. Supporters rally outside the courthouse, news outlets swarm every new witness, and the Corinthos Davis family holds its collective breath. In a twist no one saw coming, the jury finds Kristina not guilty by reason of temporary insanity. The judge orders her to be committed to Ferncliff for psychiatric evaluation and long-term treatment. Kristina is whisked away in tears, not to prison, but to a locked ward where she'll begin the long road to recovery. Her loved ones are left grappling with conflicting emotions: relief that she avoided prison, fear for her future, and guilt over what they might have missed. What's next for Kristina? Kristina's story is far from over. Her time at Ferncliff could unearth deep-seated trauma and possibly hidden truths about Caleb's death. Was it really self-defense? Could someone else have been involved, or even framed her? Rumors swirl that Caleb had enemies beyond Kristina, and someone might have been counting on her fragile mental state to take the fall. As she fights for her sanity and her future, one thing is clear: Kristina Corinthos Davis will never be the same. And neither will Port Charles. Stay tuned, because in this town, even rock bottom has a trapdoor. Thanks for watching this video, and please subscribe our GH News 24 YouTube channel for more update news.